Welcome to our presentation today, Sword of Honour and Globe of Honour, where we're going to be looking at the changes to the process in 2015. I'm Claire Cloutman, Brand and Marketing Communications Manager, and I'm joined by Dave Parr, our Head of Technical Services, and Kiz Durrani, our Assessment Manager. So what are the awards? There's two awards. The Sword of Honour is a prestigious award that recognises the best of the best in terms of occupational health and safety management. And then Globe of Honour, exactly the same, best of the best, but in terms of environmental management. Why apply? They're obviously very highly regarded at the cutting edge of health, safety and environmental management, and as a result they recognise your commitment to high standards. They recognise your achievement in terms of exemplary performance, both internally in terms of motivation, but also externally, building your reputation through use of the logo and trophy. Who can apply? So, Sword of Honour, open to organisations that have achieved 5-star grading in our 5-star occupational safety and health audit between 1st of August 2014 and 1st of July 2015. Globe of Honour, exactly the same dates, but it's if you've achieved 5-star grading in our 5-star environmental audit. Let me hand you over to Dave Parr. He's going to tell you a little bit more about the changes.
Okay, thanks, Claire. So why are we changing the process, the application process this year, the awarding process this year? Two reasons really. One, we are continually improving our product, services and award schemes, and secondly, and perhaps more pointedly, we are responding to feedback from our membership base and from previous award winners and applicants. We wanted to make a more explicit link to the 5-star audit process this year, and also allow applicants greater flexibility within the written response elements of the assessment process, which Kiz will outline shortly. In terms of the 5-star, audit process itself, as applicants will be familiar, the 5-star audit process is a very robust and comprehensive examination of an organisation's safety management system or environmental management system, and the outcome of that, of which focuses heavily on leadership and continual improvement. So we wanted to reflect this theme through into the award process this year, and we retain the eligibility criteria, in that to be eligible for the award, to apply for the award, the organisations have to achieve 5 stars, which is a 92% minimum of 92% outcome on their audit. However, this year we've decided that we should better reflect that achievement by carrying up to 40% of marks into the award scheme application directly determined by the outcome of the British Safety Council audit itself. 60% of the marks will still be determined by the performance of a written application, which Kiz will explain in a bit more detail now.
Thanks very much, Dave. So on this slide you can see how the new written application compares with how the scheme has operated previously. In the past, as you can see, we had a series of 12 questions that entailed a fairly thorough review of the health and safety or environmental management at the site concerned. Applicants had 500 words per response, and these responses were marked at up to 6 marks each. It's worth reminding ourselves that the 6 marks were divided into 3 separate mark bands, and that as a rule it was unacceptable for any responses to be scored within the lower mark band. Under the new scheme, which you can see outlined on the right side of the screen, we are moving to a more focused or theme-based style of questions. The questions, of which there will now be 4, with 750 words available for each response, will target in on a particular area of health and safety or environmental management. And they will be based on the topics that applicants will already have engaged with as part of their audit. Each question will now also be scored at up to 15 marks each. Now, in the new scheme, we've kept the rule about no responses being scored within the lower mark band, and it's also important to note that applicants will now need to ensure that at least 2 of their responses are scored within the top mark band. In order to pass the written component of the new scheme, the submissions must collect a minimum of 45 marks from the maximum of 60 that are available. Okay, so here we can see the new format for the written application and see how it compares with how the scheme operated in the past. On the left of the screen, we have an example of the type of questions that were posed in previous award schemes. And you also have there an indication of the different mark bands in operation. On the right, you can now see how the new questions will look. And in fact, those are the actual questions for the Sword of Honour written application in 2015. So you have what is effectively one question that is broken down into 4 discrete sub-questions. And as you can see, you have the 3 new mark bands to reflect the new maximum of 15 marks per sub-question. I think it's perhaps worth pausing here for a moment just so you can see how the new questions look. So the Sword and Globe of Honour schemes have always been marked by our independent panel of adjudicators, and that will continue to be the case. And again, the adjudicators will similarly be quality assured throughout the process to make sure they're marking to a consistent and similar standard for all applications. And as previously, a unique set of questions will be prepared for each award series. So yes, the new system brings into play a number of benefits for those applying. We have the partial weighting of the overall score with the audit, as we mentioned earlier, as well as the questions now being more closely aligned to the topics and structure of the audit. And this means that we have established a much more explicit link with the audit stage of the process. With up to 15 marks available per individual sub-question, this means that applicants will have a bit more space with which to shape and develop their particular responses. And of course, applicants now have less writing to do. In the past, at 12 questions of 500 words each, applicants needed to write a total of 6,000 words across the application. The total now is 3,000 words, so that's 4 times 750 words. So I hope that's been useful to those of you who are either familiar with the Sword of Honour and Globe of Honour schemes, or those of you that are new to the schemes this year. Claire, I think we've got the key dates for this year's scheme as part of this presentation.
Yeah, that's right, we do. So a few dates just to be aware of. The scheme opens on the 15th of June, so that's when the application form will be available. The deadline for you to get your completed applications in is the 4th of September. Results will be issued on the 12th of October. And then at the end of the process, we'll have the celebratory luncheon in the City of London, and that's on the 27th of November. And also just do keep checking our website for updates, and all the information will be put on there, all the application forms. There's 2 pages, one for the Sword and one for the Globe. Thanks very much for listening.